This show is brought to you in part by viewers like you who joined a Patreon or become YouTube members. Thank you. And if you could, hit the like button and subscribe if you want more Browns-focused content.
Is the AFC North trash? Honestly, we look, AFC North people who are fans of teams in the AFC North, we're usually, pretty arrogant, talking a lot of shit about how much better, about how much better the AFC North is than everybody else, and how, we're so used to superior football and how nobody's just going to run in here and demolish AFC North teams 3 in a row. And, we're the best division in all of football, bar none, every year. Even our worst place team is better than your first place team. All that stuff. I mean, I do a whole podcast with guys who cover the AFC North, and usually, we're smelling our own farts about the AFC North, right? We're pretty arrogant about it, but even us, we're looking at the AFC North and asking the question, hey man, do we stink? It look like we stink. Like, we go through team by team, and none of this looks good, right? Cleveland might have the worst offense in the league. We talked about Cleveland's problems. They're switching to Dylan Gabriel this week. Great defense. We know the Browns' defense is great, but boy, do they have problems on the offensive side of the ball. And I don't know if a quarterback change is going to be the only thing they need to do to change that. I think a lot of other changes need to happen in order for this offense to be better. But they're making a quarterback change here. But again, team playing a rookie quarterback, not really a threat to win the division, or at least it doesn't usually feel like that. But we'll talk about that conversation in just a minute. Then you have Cincinnati, who are Joe Burrow-less, and boy, do they look like it. This ain't like the first time where they were Joe Burrow-less, and it looked like, well, this ain't like the second time they were Joe Burrow-less. The first time they were Joe Burrow-less, they got Jamar Chase in the draft, and I think this is more along the lines of that. They look bad. They want Zach Taylor fired in Cincinnati. It's looking real bad here for Cincinnati, right? And then you look at the Baltimore Ravens, and they look like they're going through the season from hell. All kind of injuries. The ball is not bouncing their way. They're not as effective as a football team as they used to. Lamar's injured. Justin Madubuike, just went out for the entire season. It feels like a season from hell for Baltimore, who's ultimately the most talented team in the NFL. And then you got Pittsburgh, who, if you just look at the record, you would think that they're pretty good. But if you look a little bit deeper than that record, you see some cracks show itself that are probably going to be exposed by the time we get to the end of the season. Old quarterback. The quarterback that's old is not really playing that great right now, and it's probably not going to get better as he gets older. And the team is older, right? Like, the Steelers have had an issue of falling apart in the second half of the season. Their schedule's about to get way, way tougher. Pittsburgh can go either way right now, and it's not like they look like a dominant team, right? The defense hasn't been what they've expected the defense to look like all season. So that's kind of what the AFC North is looking like, a bunch of broken toys, right? Like, the Browns look like a broken toy. The Steelers look like an old toy. The Bengals are a broken toy right now. The Ravens are a broken toy. It looks like that. And for the first time in my life, it feels like the AFC North might be a race to the bottom. It might be one of those divisions you can win with 9 or 8 wins. And that's kind of crazy. Like, the division is wide open for anybody. I think that's the silver lining of this conversation, is that the division is wide open for everybody. You can make an argument for Cincinnati once they get Joe Burrow back, if they get him back this year. It doesn't look like they'll get him back this year. But if they get Joe Burrow back, it's going to be hard to be that far out of it. Maybe they go on a run at the end of the season. You can make the argument that, Baltimore can get over these injuries, and then they're the most talented team in the division. You can make the argument that Pittsburgh is going to win 9 games regardless, and that might just be it, right? Even if they collapse in the second half, 9 wins might be enough to win the division this year. And for Cleveland, look, they're probably the least convincing team you can make an argument for winning the division, but I still think, with how this schedule shapes up after these next 2 games for Cleveland, you can make the argument that the Browns could really go on a run here, right? They play the Vikings this week, which really is a winnable game. The Vikings are out like 3 offensive linemen. They're starting a backup quarterback. They might even be starting Max Brosmer this week, a rookie quarterback, right? The Browns will be doing the same thing, and they're still flailing on offense as well. But if it becomes a defensive battle, the Browns have a chance, right? The Steelers game, the Browns, match up well against the Steelers. The issue is that the Browns have not won in Pittsburgh in a very long time. But even those 2 games, which are the tougher 2 for the rest of the season for the Browns, aren't the toughest games in the world. Then after that, you play the Dolphins, who have not been very good. I'm not saying the Browns should walk in and blow them out or anything, but that's certainly a winnable game. The same is true with the Patriots. The same is true with the Jets. They play Baltimore in Cleveland, and that Baltimore game in Cleveland is usually winnable even when Lamar Jackson and the Ravens are healthy. So them not being healthy and maybe even more less healthy by that point in November could benefit the Browns. They go to Las Vegas to play the Raiders, usually a weird game, but the Raiders are a winnable team. The 49ers aren't who we thought they were going to be at the beginning of the season. The Titans don't look like they're going to be that good. The Bears are a solid team, but I don't think they're going to be out the realm of being able to beat on any given Sunday. The Bills are certainly a tier above us, but then you play the Steelers and the Bengals. It's a very winnable schedule down the stretch for the Cleveland Browns, and yeah, it would be hard for them to win, 9 of these games to basically get to a 9-win record, but it wouldn't be out the realm of possibility. Like, the Browns are still alive in this division race. The AFC North is wide open, and it's not very good this year, which is just a shock to me. But I don't want to just get my opinion on that. I want to check in with my panel of AFC North experts, guys I've been working with for a very long time. So we're going to check in with them. But before I do that, I'm going to give a shout out to my sponsor for today, Sleeper. Hey, real quick, I want to tell you about a little bit of a sleeper of an app called Sleeper. Has fantasy, has news feed, has picks. You can do it all on the Sleeper app. Make sure you use it. Sign up using the promo code Worst Take and get to 100% match on up to $100. When you use promo code Worst Take, again, 100% match for up to $100. When you use promo code Worst Take, you have a great day. Now, let's continue the video. The question that's been on my mind, and I want to get you guys' input on it each, is about the state of the division. We kind of touched on it earlier. When you look at this division for the rest of this year, and then you look at the trajectory of the teams in this division, right? You got some teams that are, kind of in the late stages or starting to enter the late stages of having their quarterback, right? Like, Lamar is getting to that late 20s part of his career. Joe Burrow's had a couple of injuries, obviously where the Steelers are, where the Browns are. Do you think that this division is going to be able to live up to its reputation, not only for the rest of this year, but, going forward? Like, is the AFC North still the AFC North?
I mean, I think it'll be roughly the same just because Burrow hopefully will be back next year and healthier, and hopefully Cincinnati does some house cleaning, get some new faces in charge of things, gets a little bit better on defense. I don't know, these are a lot of ifs, but if Burrow's healthy, Cincinnati's going to at least be in the picture. Baltimore, if Lamar is healthy, they're always going to be at least in the picture. They're always going to be a team that's talked about as being, one of those teams to watch as a Super Bowl contender. The Steelers, as long as Tomlin's there, it seems like they're always going to win 9 games. So
you like Tomlin. I knew it. You like Tomlin.
I wouldn't go that far.
Big Tomlin guy here.
I love Tomlin, the human being. He seems like a great guy. I'm just over Mike Tomlin, the coach. So I think mostly, if we're just talking about the immediate future, even the long-term future, I think it'll be largely the same as what it is now.
I'm really cute. The other thing is, I echo everything that you're saying. I might be the highest on the Browns, not a Browns fan. Like, I've been here picking them against good teams. I actually think the Browns are a QB away, but also something that I don't like that the Browns have is the O-line. They need to figure out the O-line. Because if you fix a QB, like if you get one of these new young guys next year, let's say he's good, but then you get a bad O-line, then you can get a Andrew Luck or CJ Stroud effect, right? Like, you also need to fix the O-line either by buying, drafting, whatever it is. But the Browns are not far. This defense is like Super Bowl contending defense.
Mm-hmm.
If they can fix it now, we don't have any team that you can say, well, this team is just the bottom of the league bad.
Yeah. So my question is, like, with the Ravens, right? They kind of remind me of like an NBA team that's hit their head against the wall enough to where
It's mental.
they're at the point to where they got to do something drastic to shake up the dynamic of the team. And
That's
I
why you need to
wonder,
fire the coach.
like, yeah, because like with the Bengals, they haven't really hit their head on the wall. It's like, oh, they've just had bad luck, right? Like they just feel like if they get it healthy, they'll be fine, and then maybe their defense has time to catch up, right? And then that'll be better for them overall. But and also maybe they want to, you could look at Ace's banner. I don't think he's very happy with Mr. Zach Taylor here, but with the Ravens, it feels like that entire core of that team is gonna have to be blown up at some point, with Lamar at the center of it. And like my question is like, do you trust them to reload that team in a way that can get over the hump with what you've seen? Like even if they get rid of John Harbaugh, it's still going to be Eric DeCosta, right? Like that's not changing. So do you think that if that situation happens, say you hit your head against the wall this year again, right? You get a hot streak, win the division, you lose again in the playoffs. Maybe you lose in the first round and that's it.
Maybe you don't make it.
Yeah. Maybe you don't even make it, right? And that's it. So, do you trust this team if they have to make that last ditch, like, hey, we got to make this work around Lamar thing happen? Do you think they're going to be able to competently do that? Or are you afraid that some of these kind of tendencies for the Ravens to be passive are just always going to be there no matter what iteration of the team we're talking about?
I think if they miss the playoffs specifically, the pressure mounts. And if they fire Harbaugh, look, this is not great necessarily. The Costa and Harbaugh, like, really good friends. Like, they're next door neighbors. Like, their fences are next to each other. So these guys are really good friends. If the Costa fires Harbaugh, that means there's pressure coming from ownership, in my opinion, which means that he's also on the hot seat, which might be enough to make him think a little bit differently. I think DeCosta's not a bad GM. I think the problem that I have with DeCosta is people talk about DeCosta like he is the guy from the Eagles, right?
Oh, Howie.
Howie. He's
Roseman?
not close.
Nah.
I think if I graded
I'll say this though
DeCosta,
about Eric
There's
DeCosta.
only one of those.
He stares through my soul every year at the combine whenever I ask him a question. I feel like I'm being like hypnotized every time I look. He's got some laser eyes.
yes, he does. I think he's like a BGM, but the problem that he has tendencies, like the corner thing, but forgets about I think he's obsessed to draft the outside backer and content to patch it with older guys that have been good for us. But why not go what you did with Roquan? You could have done for a pass rush. Like the Rams did it with Von Miller. You could have done it, right? Like what they did with
tried
Von.
to do it with Mike Green. Mike Green just hasn't.
Well, no, but the
that
problem. Wait. Hopefully you're not. Okay, let me rephrase this.
To kind of Sonny's point, because like it is Mike Green, but they got Mike Green because he fell in the second round, right? Like,
and I'm not trying to.
They drafted Oway in the first. It just
which I hated.
Just haven't hit.
But my part that's what I want to correct. I don't want to seem that I'm dissing Mike Green because he's a second round pick rookie, and you cannot depend on a second round rookie to be here at old time pass rusher, which is what you need. What the Bengals have. By the way, I'm hoping we can snatch Trey next year. That's what I'm hoping. Right? That's what I'm hoping. I mean, if the Bengals don't want to pay him, that's what I'm hoping. But my point is,
hold on. Is this now? What's the date? September 30th.
Yeah,
2025. When we first started this show, Sonny, somebody told y'all that y'all needed edge rushers. We all tried to tell y'all that y'all needed edge rushers.
Back then, the committee was good. The committee was skinny.
Was the committee like Zadarius Smith? And like, I mean, I think you would kill for that committee.
Bowser.
Yeah. But my point is, that committee was good. This committee is not. That's my point. Odafe Oweh has not.
And the reason it's not good is these draft picks, right? That they've put in, right? It's because the committee was replaced by Odafe Oweh. The committee was replaced by
who's the kid from Michigan? He's a
David
Ojabo.
Ojabo, right? And then there's Mike Green there, who's again a rookie. And like at some point, you got to ask the question of like, hey, are you just not like, what's going on with the process here? Because this is multiple defensive coordinators, right? So it can't just be like, oh, Mike McDonald can identify his guys. It was like, Mike McDonald was here for some of these guys.
I miss him.
Yeah, and then you got Zach Orr here. Obviously, you're missing Mike McDonald. I do want to ask Jared a question about the Steelers' future. Do you feel like that team, if they get a quarterback, right? Now, the range of whether that quarterback is, obviously, if he's like top 5 good, then who cares, right? You're going to be able to fix everything around it and be fine. But let's say you land on a quarterback, he's decent. Do you still feel good about everything else around that quarterback, like long term, or do you think that would be a very like, hey, you got to hit the first 2 years of this window type thing?
I just don't feel good about the hierarchy in place to develop that quarterback. So like, I'm nervous about whoever they take, regardless, just because like Kenny Pickett's not good, but it's also okay to say they didn't do a good job of putting him in better position to succeed. Where Matt Canada's a god awful offensive coordinator, they kept him for far too long. The way that they want to play and win games, like I'm nervous whoever they take, just because I don't trust the current staff as a whole to put the team in the best possible position to win. So that's my whole concern is eventually, if and when, a new staff comes in and it's a forward thinking group with new offensive ideas. I shouldn't say new offensive ideas, because I think Art's actually done a pretty solid job. I think just new philosophies in terms of what the modern NFL game looks like, then I think that things would get a little bit better. I just have my reservations about how Mike Tomlin would want to go about developing a quarterback.
Yeah. Do you think because I know your issue with the Mike Tomlin thing is that philosophy on winning, right?
Yeah.
Do you think I think the bigger problem Pittsburgh has there is, even if you did like magically fire Mike Tomlin, I feel like they would hire somebody hoping he's Mike Tomlin.
I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that the mentality that keeps Mike Tomlin there, which is like the Tomlinism of it all, is something that they actually believe in at the top of this, right? Like, it's core to the Art family. Well, is it the Rooneys, right? The Rooney?
Yeah.
The Rooney family, that they actually like cherish that, because like, the philosophy of Mike Tomlin, it's not really that much different than Bill Cowher. I think Bill Cowher is willing to take a little bit more risk than Mike, right?
Even so, though, like, it was okay to go from Bill Cowher to Mike Tomlin, because at that time, like, it was okay. Working. It was okay to have that type of mentality because it was a different NFL. Now it's a very quarterback-driven, pass-driven, score points-driven league. And he is a let's limit teams to score fewer points coach, and that just doesn't work in huge games. So I don't want a quarterback to come into a situation where in the biggest games, the game plan is, hey, let's not worry about scoring so many points. We're just going to try to limit the team from scoring other points. Like, that's just not going to work. And that's kind of been my whole theme of my issues with the Steelers since Ben retired. It's just the way that they approach winning just hasn't been sustainable in the biggest games. And that continues to be my biggest thing. So obviously, whoever they take, I'm going to root for. Like, if they like Cade, if they like Aller, if Dante Moore ends up going there from Oregon, whoever the hell it is,
Kirk.
like, that would be interesting.
Not young guys, just go with Kirk.
I mean, if they draft a guy and go with Kirk, that's fine.
Why are we ignoring the inevitable here?
What's that?
Tua?
It's not happening, Q. Let's stop this. Let's stop this.
Tua?
It's not happening.
Tuisberg, I don't know. I can see it. Can't you see it?
No, I can't.
I can see this. I feel like I can see this. Mike Tomlin be like, yeah, I love me some Tua.
He might want a lefty. He might like that time that he had big.
Tomlin's always talked about...
He's going to flip the offense vertically, horizontally.
I will say this right now, and you can quote me on this all you want. If Tua is the Steelers quarterback, I'll find a new team. Because that's not a serious franchise.
Hey, so I got to get your thoughts. Is the AFC North cooked? What's your take on it?
I think it's definitely cooked this season for sure. I think they're going to be collectively one of the worst divisions in football this year. I think going forward, they may have a chance at rebounding. You got to see what happens in Baltimore, because if Harbaugh is going and they bring in a new head coach, you have to think that they, of course, will keep Lamar Jackson, but guys that we're used to seeing like Marlon Humphrey and stuff like that might be leaving. They might have to redo that defense or something like that over there. We're talking about Justin Matabuke, who's a huge piece on that defense, possibly not being there. So I think there's going to be some changes there, and then you have to see like with that hire how it gels and stuff like that. I think with the Steelers, it's still is Aaron Rodgers coming back? You know, do they have a
Did y'all see
long-term
what he
solution
said
for the
after the?
quarterback?
Do you see what he said after the Ireland game?
What did he say?
He was they were doing like one of those things that they always do for like team social media and whatnot. And he was just talking. He was walking out the field. Like, "Oh, Ireland, you're great. We'll definitely have to come back again. Definitely want to come back next year." And so everybody heard him say next year, and they're like, "Oh, I wonder if
okay.
he's planning on sticking around."
Yeah, because so
How
now
old
you
would
got
he
the
be?
42 or 41.
42,
I
43.
swear, I don't know why I thought he was 43.
No, he's not quite 43 yet. I want to say he's 40.
He looks.
Let me look and
So
see.
for
how old
them,
he
there's
is.
going to be that because they're not going to get rid of Tomlin. So you're going to be
Oh
back
no,
in the playoffs this year.
he's 41.
But
He'll be 42 in December.
is Aaron Rodgers going to be enough to beat a Pat Mahomes or Josh Allen? That's what it's really going to come down to. I would say Lamar Jackson. I just don't think the Ravens are there this year. Next year, they're going to have to figure that out. It's the same question. They're just kind of pushing it down there for another year. So we'll see what they do. I think with the Browns, they got to find a quarterback.
Yeah.
I think with the Bengals, if they move on from Zach Taylor, who can they bring in here that's going to be able to keep Joe Burrow healthy? Can Joe Burrow stay healthy? That's going to be a big question for them. Can they fix the defense? So I would say that the AFC North is cooked looking at next year, but I can't say that because the whole AFC is cooked this season. So the rest of the teams in the AFC seem to be cooked as well. It would be different if we saw teams in other divisions making strides and going somewhere, but you got the Dolphins down bad, you got the Jets are bad. So even when you look at the AFC West, it's still just
Bills
the
got to go
Chiefs.
all in this year.
Unless the Broncos come up some type of way, which I think the Broncos possibly you could see 3 teams from that division. But I think the North is cooked for sure this season. Next season, we'll have to see how those other teams kind of evolve.
And my last question for you on this one. Do you think that the Bengals are at the point, like obviously you're not going to replace Joe Burrow, right? But do you start taking swings in the third round on like guys you think could be really high level backups for him in the case of that?
For sure.
Like, you know, let's say Drew Aller falls to the third or Cade Klubnik falls to the third. Like, you know, somebody with some upside back there. I wonder if Cincinnati's at that place where it's like, nah, we need to, you know, have a project.
I think that will be a big priority for them. I wouldn't be surprised if they took one as high as the third round. They're definitely going to prioritize like backup quarterback because it's just destroyed them. And we thought Jake Browning was that guy, but he's clearly is not that guy. So I could see them taking some guy that they expect to at least be able to step in and be decent if Burrow something happens to Burrow.
All right.
Okay.